Welcome to Sawtooth Revival. I'm so glad to be over here today. This weekend's gonna be awesome. I think the high for today is 70. Tomorrow's 77, I believe. So we're definitely gonna take advantage of this weather and get a lot done. But before we head inside, let's just make sure our friends haven't come back. Last weekend they used this ramp that I put in there. Now I don't see them, so I think we're good for now. So let's hope they don't find their way back in there and get stuck. But let's head inside first and take a look. There's a whole lot less water in here. I'll be able to work on this, if not today, maybe tomorrow. Hopefully we won't get any rain this coming week, so we can keep working on this. I'd like to start, get rid of this corner, so we can get the scaffolding along here and get this down. So that's something I'd like to do. But honestly, before I really do that, I want to keep getting the floor cleaned up. I still have this pretty good size pile of wood there. Got this to do. Probably do this first, get this stuff out of the way. Just drag it back through there. But I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about this. I don't want to spend a lot of time moving stuff and then have to move it again in the future. And that stuff back there should be all right. That pile of wood that we did last week, it should be all right back there, but this floor is getting worse and worse. I think at one point it was just a hole kind of like in this area, and now it's going beyond the I-beam. So I don't know, it's getting worse, which is fine. I don't plan on keeping any of this. Doesn't really change the kind of our plans with the building, but as far as storing stuff, I think we need to start not even considering putting stuff in this side over here, because I mean the floor is just it's getting really bad. And when I was over here last weekend, you know, there's a hole right here. You can see all the way down in the basement, and probably continues underneath all the stuff that I packed on top of it. So I think I need to start addressing those kinds of things. I've been wanting to clean up and get all this stuff down because it's the next big step towards making this feel like it's gonna be our home one day. And I don't know, it's really important to me, but I think I also need to keep in mind sort of the process and not give myself more work to do in the future. So with that in mind, been thinking about this for a while, and my dad suggested it as well. We're thinking about maybe cleaning out this, what we call the mountain lion room, because of the taxidermy mountain lions in the corner. What we're thinking about doing is starting to clean this out, because if we can clean this out, we can start putting piles of lumber in here, or big electric motors, or fans that we've taken down in other places. This is a good place to store stuff. If we utilize that door, we can come off that side from my parents' side. If they need to use some places to store stuff over in there, they could do that. Of course, we have that blue door there, the double door there, so we can bring big stuff in on the tractor. The door right here coming in is a big double door, so I bet the tractor will fit through here as well. So if this was all cleaned out, we could actually bring stuff in here and get it out of the way. The roof in here is actually in really good shape also, so that's another reason this room's a great place to store stuff. I think the only place I saw that has some rot is right there, so that shouldn't be a huge deal. We can just climb up there and see if there's a small hole or something we could kind of patch. I think there's one there too, so we'll have to look at that at some point. But yeah, just to store stuff, this would be a really good place to do that. So like I said, I've been thinking about this room a lot, and we plan on using that as like a big outdoor room because these windows will all be opened up into the courtyard. So plan on keeping that room with the roof in there, and then you can have like an outdoor sitting area and maybe a barbecue in there. You can look out into the courtyard. So I definitely want to make sure the roof stays in good shape. So like the spots where it's leaking, I definitely want to address those at some point soon. But I wasn't in a hurry really to get that cleaned out because this doesn't really affect the plan for like the house. But thinking about utilizing that for storage and getting stuff maybe even out of there over there, or just more lumber through this whole mess where we can store it in that room. It makes sense to maybe address it sooner than later. So that might be something we do. But for now, I need to focus on what we need to do this weekend. It's so easy to get distracted and, I don't know, move from one thing to another, but there's still things I need to keep in mind. I need to have plans for this kind of stuff and be able and willing to adjust my plans. So anyway, let's get the cart. We'll knock this pile out first, get this stuff out of the way. This is a bit of an awkward transition, and I apologize for that, but last weekend I got one whole cart filled up of lumber and half of it emptied when Jennifer and the boys showed up. Because the weather was so nice, they decided to come over here and spend the day with us, which was a lot of fun. So I got half of that emptied and then decided to go outside, put the bounce house up for the boys. And then my parents showed up, and because the weather was so nice and the boys were out front, there's a couple of big electrical poles out front that had a ton of wires running from it. It's just an eyesore we're not planning on using, so we went outside and worked on that all weekend last weekend, cleaning it up after we dropped them. So I filmed the second pole coming down and some of the cleanup there. So let's jump to that footage, come back here, and figure out what we need to do today. So as you've seen, I changed my mind about putting a second hole. My dad and I went ahead and drilled a hole right here. Unfortunately, we brought it over here a little too far. Most of the water, it's deeper in here, so I don't know if much more water would drain there, but a decent amount of water did drain down in there. I changed my mind. My dad and I went down there and I was showing them the water draining from this hole when they got here. And it's actually drained quite a bit, and you can still hear it downstairs trickling down there when you stand just on the edge of the ramp. But I changed my mind because when we were down there looking, you can see where the pile of wood is sitting on the floor, because downstairs the ceiling is really damp and just, it doesn't look good. So as a precaution, I figured let's just go ahead and put a hole over here, try to get rid of some of the water, because I'm sure there's a ton of water that goes all the way up underneath this pile of wood, and it's probably really unlikely that that stuff will ever really dry out without somewhere for the water to go. So we went ahead and put one hole here, probably end up putting another over in here when I have some time to kind of figure out where it needs to go and maybe clean some more of this stuff out. I've decided it's probably best to put them closer to like these main posts, like in the corner, like right here. But since it's all kind of piled up there, it's hard to do. This hole here took quite a long time because we ended up hitting a piece of rebar in the concrete. So it took us probably twice as long as the first one did. So I didn't get a lot done over here. I got two of these completely broke down. There's one here and there's another one underneath this one that I've broken up. These boards here are pretty nice. So I plan on reusing these elsewhere. I just need to put them somewhere where I can get the nails out, get them all cleaned up and keep them out of the way. Like I mentioned in the last video, I don't know if I'm gonna keep putting stuff on that end because the floor is so bad. So it's a good place to stop because I can kind of think about where I want to put it, where I'm not moving it around a lot. So yeah, I think I'm gonna get cleaned up and probably head out here soon. I appreciate everyone sticking around, watching the videos and keeping up with the progress. But if you are new and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.